All right. President wants earmarks. Maybe get back to the good old days where people talk to one another. I wonder what my next guest thinks of that. To the Center for Liberty and Prosperity, the chairman, Dan Mitchell. Dan, I was thinking of you. What do you think?
Trump is right and wrong on this issue. And let me explain. He's right. He's a deal maker. If you put earmarks back in the system, you'll get more deals. But here's why he's wrong. If you think, even for 1 second, that most of the legislation coming out of Washington is bad for the country, do we really want to grease the skids and make it easier for politicians to pass laws? Our founding fathers gave us a system where they designed it to produce gridlock because they knew that government primarily would probably be tempted to do bad things. So, no, I don't like earmarks. I think they're sort of the gateway drug to bigger spending.
What was he hearkening back to, then using them for both sides to get stuff done?
Historically, earmarks are used by congressional leadership and committee chairmen to sort of corral and lure in members to supporting pieces of legislation. And this harkens back to what I just said. If you think most pieces of legislation that you get out of Washington are going to expand the cost, size, and scope of government, the last thing we should try to do is to make it easy for politicians to pass more laws. And by the way, I say this with reluctance. At some point in time, assuming we want to save the country from long-run fiscal crisis, we're going to need to enact entitlement reform. And in that scenario, if it was necessary to bribe some lawmaker with a new bridge in his district in order to get his vote for a piece of legislation that is critical for our future, then of course in that situation I'd be in favor of it. But when you're sort of weighing the pros and cons, 9 out of 10 times, if not more, when the politicians do the earmarks, it will be to bribe and seduce members into supporting bad legislation. So I view this as a very unfortunate throwback to the big spending days of yore.
You're right that it's a deposit on still more spending, but what can they do to start to get on the same page?
Well, the question is, do we want them on the same page? Our founders didn't want Congress and government to operate seamlessly. Our founders wanted gridlock. They wanted it to be difficult to pass things. That's why our Constitution said in the enumerated powers section, Article 1, Section 8, these are the only legal obligations and authorities of the central government. Now, of course, the courts no longer uphold that part of the Constitution, but Congress was designed, separation of powers, 2 separate branches. Our whole political system was designed to make it hard to pass laws. Earmarks are designed to make it easy to pass laws. And as I said, we have to just make a judgment call. If you think that most laws are going to increase government power and reduce individual freedom, then we don't want that, even though in a few rare cases it might be convenient to be able to bribe members to supporting laws.
Dan, thank you very much. Dan Mitchell.